Yo, what is up, family? Nagastrike here, and today I wanted to bring you a very special custom Robo video where we're going to talk about what has been deemed the Buzz Lightyear build. Now, this is going to be a build that's involving the tank head and the acrobat bomb with the feather legs, which is going to allow you to go really high up into the air and camp the air. So you can most popularly run the glider gun on this build, which is very strong, has very good homing, and it can work across map basically. But there are some other great options that you have for this. Let's just go through real quick and I'll point out. Sniper, not the best, but pretty good. You can obviously always run Hornet, but it's not as good for the air camping. Dragon, probably not the greatest either. It's okay, but it's not too good. The arc guns are decent, but those are better on lightning skies, in my opinion. You could probably kinda do bubble. Eagle is fine. That's a common one. Glider's fine. Homing star's fine. You could probably play around with Claw if you really wanted to. I don't think Afterburner is good. None of these are really sticking out to me. You could try Sword Storm, but I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe Ion. And that's pretty much it. So most commonly your options are going to be like Sniper, Glider, and Homing Star. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the strengths of this build. What makes this build so good? So first of all, if no one knows, well, if you don't know how Tank Head plus Acrobat plus Feather works, just look how floaty Tank Head is first of all. Now watch what happens when you Acrobat with the Feather Legs. You go to infinity and beyond, hence the Buzz Lightyear build. So, what this does that's really good is since you're up in here, camp in the air, you're basically going to nullify your opponent's pods, because pods travel on the ground, right? So, you pretty much don't have to worry about them. And since you have so much air control over your Robo, you don't have to worry about coming down and landing on a Skyfreeze pod or anything like that. Or more anti-air kind of geared pods, you really don't even have to worry about those. Because look, I can come all the way over here. And look, I just went around the world. So yeah, positioning is really easy with this bot. So that's probably the best strength about this build, is you just nullify their pods more or less. And then while you're up in the air, even if my opponent is directly under me, the vertical distance is so great that it doesn't matter. So normally, you have a long range gun and you're over here, but then the opponent closes the gap and then your long range gun isn't so great anymore. But even if he closes the gap and I go up this high, we're still at a long range. So your long-range gun isn't necessarily ever at a disadvantage. Oh, I don't want to say that. You can be more effective in more times, if that makes sense. More of the time you can be effective. There are more situations you can create where you have the advantage, as opposed to another bot trying to do a zoning type of build. And then obviously acro canceling makes this really good, because you can throw out gliders to anti-approach, and then once you're in the air, obviously you can fire again. And now you see right there, even if your opponent is hiding behind walls, let's get him behind the big high wall over here. Even if your opponent's hiding behind walls, the glider's still gonna come around the wall and get him. How great the homing is. Oh, it didn't quite there. But it'll still go around the wall and get them easily there. So like you pretty much can't hide from this gun. That's one of the best parts about it. And then, you know, coupled with the spider pod, you can just litter hitboxes all over the field. And then your opponent has so much to pay attention to. And then, you know, like he runs out of the wall, and he tries to get away from the gliders. But then you just got these spiders right here. And it's like, oh crap, they're coming. And then, yeah, just run into the spiders. Which will also combo into the gliders if they're on the field. And it's just crazy. There's just so much stuff you have to worry about. Alright. So we talked about the strengths of this build, so now we're going to talk about the weaknesses. And the weaknesses are, like, if you have... Let me switch the bots up real quick. So, guns that are good at preventing acro canceling are really good. So, I haven't... No one's ever really tested vertical, but that honestly might just work. If you can like rush them down and get in their face, like close range guns are gonna be pretty good. Like mid-range, close range could be decent. Like Hornet's alright, Flame, Splash. Both of the arc guns are really good coupled with like a Lightning Sky. The arc guns are really, really good against the tank heads. It's really hard for tank head to ever do anything against the arc guns. You could close the gap with shotgun. Needle is exceptionally well, especially the go for broke build. So if you have Needle on a Aerial Beauty, why can't I find them? If you have Needle on an Aerial Beauty, then that's really good because you can kind of like chase them down and keep up with them. So I'll just use Raven legs for this example. It's like, I feel like Needle is like a really, really solid option in this matchup. More specifically the Aerial Beauty Needle though, like not any other bot just using Needle. Like I don't think any bot can get away with just using Needle and just being okay in this matchup. But specifically the Aerial Beauty, because like, watch, I'm gonna acro cancel. And like, look, Aerial Beauty can go just as high with her triple jump. So like, if I acro cancel, like Aerial Beauty can just chase him all the way up there. And then if you go to acro cancel, oh man, this is gonna be so hard to do with two controllers. So like, if you go to acro cancel and I just shoot a Needle, you're still gonna get hit anyways, unless you're... how do I explain this? So if you're already acro canceling, shit, wrong one. If you're already acro canceling and I go to Needle, it's gonna whiff. But if I preemptively like Needle and then you acro cancel, you're gonna just fly straight up and get clipped by the Needle anyways. So Aerial Beauty is really good at preventing you from camping, because it's hard for you to get the initial acro cancel, but then after you do, she just chases you up and gets in your face, and then boom, one Needle knocks you down, you can't fire. So at that point, it becomes like a drifting mind game and like doing some rise canceling with your spider pods. So I'll continue through the list of guns and tell you what else is good. That's probably your best option, doing the Aerial Beauty Needle, in my opinion. That's the best one. So also, we got Homing Star is one that I like. You could also counter camp the glider. Homing Star fires a little bit faster, so you can hit the glider and make them make their shots disappear with Homing Star. And other than that, that's probably it actually. Sword Storm's kind of decent at preventing acro canceling, but I'm not sure if that's any good. Once they're already in the air, Glider's probably just going to beat you. And that's about it. Pretty sure they can just avoid Ion really easily. You can try Flare. If you're not playing Aerial Beauty, I would suggest highly that you use High Jump plus something. One thing that Tiptic and myself tried out was Chicken Heart High Jump with the Flare. And the idea behind this is Chicken Heart already has a pretty high jump, but then coupled with the high jump, you can get all the way up there. Like, most bots can get up there to at least a solid mid-range, but Chicken Heart with high jump, it's just so solid. And you don't want to get, like, super close, like, obviously. You just want to get in, like, a mid-range and do the flare. And then you can knock them down and do, like, a lot of damage. Plus you get, like, the one strike vanisher teleport. That's nice. And then you can just do, like, a lot of damage that way. And the strike vanisher teleport just, like, helps you avoid the gliders a little bit easier, because you can just iframe through it and then teleport through one. And then you can just, like, land, high jump, and punish or something. So, weaknesses of the build are anything that you can do to prevent the aggro cancel, being up in the face, pressure in general, just getting up in there and preventing them from shooting. Because here's the thing, even if you can't, like, hit them per se, if you're up in their face pressuring them, the positioning is all you need. It doesn't matter if you hit a shot or not. If you're up in their face pressuring them, they can't fire their glider gun, because the second they do, boom, they're punished. They're down and they eat damage. So just making sure that they can't fire the glider is a huge part, because that's one less thing that you gotta worry about. Now the only thing that you gotta worry about is a spider pod. And if you're continually pressuring up in their face and they're not firing, all you have to worry about is this point is basically you have a 50-50. So, like, okay, if they're gonna throw out a spider pod to make me back off, then you can, like, take a step back basically and shoot to punish that. And if they're not going to throw out a spider pod, then you can just punish the landing. So let's get him once again really quick here. And I'm gonna talk about, like, kind of ways you can play this bot in neutral. So it kind of depends on, you basically have a general game plan that you can always execute, you know, spam gliders and spiders around the field, and just have a lot of hitboxes they have to worry about. But the timing of your shots is actually super important. Like, you can't just go up here and just, like, mash the B button. Like, that's not gonna work. It might work against some players, but if you play against somebody who knows the build or can adapt quickly, then you're not gonna have a good time. So if your opponent's playing, like, a more grounded game, you really want this grounded shot. And that's gonna be such a good anti-approach and control so much space. So just having that right there, if they're playing like a Little Raider, for example, and they're just trying to run at you really fast, all you gotta do is fire that, and that's gonna make them back off, and you have air control, so then you can fire, like, another shot to make them worry about. And then another thing you should probably learn for this build is rise canceling. So as soon as you go up, you can execute a pod, and then cancel all your upwards momentum and take you back down to the ground. And that's really important for making you aggro cancel again immediately and just mixing up your spacing. So a good example of this is Hornet. So if somebody gets up on you with Hornet, say I'm in the corner here and this Chicken Heart is a Hornet user right here. So if he's coming in from above and he shoots a Hornet right here and I'm aggro canceling, right? If I just aggro cancel, the Hornets are gonna fly over top of me and hit me as I'm rising from the aggro cancel. So if I do a rise cancel, which I just messed up there, if he shoots it while I'm aggro canceling, and then I rise cancel, now all of a sudden the bees just fly over top of me and I never fly up into them. And then I could just punish with, like, a grounded glider shot or a collision, or I could just smash out some spiders to get some space, you know, what have you. A big thing that I see people do is they'll be up camping doing their own thing, and then once somebody gets close they're like, oh crap, here's all 3 of my spiders, and I don't like that. There are certain situations where you do want to create what I call the nest. you create the nest of spiders. You're like, come get me, bro. There are certain situations where I think that's okay, but most of the time I see people do this, and I feel like it's just a desperate measure to say, hey, get off me. I don't want you up here. And the great thing about Spider is, you have 3 of these, and you really need to take advantage of that. So, if I'm shooting out these gliders and you gotta worry about them, what I want to do is spread out these spiders in situations where now you're limited on your movement options. So, a corner is obviously the best example that you could give because you only have a limited amount of options. So obviously if I have 3 spiders, like 1 on each exit and then 1 in the middle here, where are you going to go? So obviously this is the best case scenario. You're covering their exit strategy. But just in general in neutral, like you want to just cover as many paths as you can. So see right here, I'm kind of covering like this side of this platform, this side of this platform, and then between these 2 platforms. So effectively the chicken heart can run all the way along the ledge this way, or all along the edge of the screen this way. And just people need better spider play in my opinion. So yes, rise and cancel, placing your spiders more effectively, and then just shot timing. It all depends. Like obviously if you see somebody press a shot, then that's when you want to fire your gun. If they're just sitting back doing bomb and pod pressure, then you want to fire your gun. If they're... Let's switch that. If they're about mid-range, you kind of just want to float around and see what they do, because they can probably shoot and just hit you out of your glider. And it depends on specific situations, to be honest, because if you have your spiders out, it changes. If you don't, there's just certain things you can do. So, in general, you want to just like land behind your spiders. And one thing to keep in mind is you acro cancel and then you got your 2 air jumps. If I go down and I acro cancel back up again, I don't have my air dashes anymore, right? So that's one thing that you have to be wary of playing against this build, is if you see the macro cancel and they've already used their jumps, so now those are gone and you can run up and pressure their landing, since they don't have the floats to mix up their landing timing anymore. And that's also why rise and cancel becomes extra important, because you can get back to the ground quickly and refresh your air jumps after that. So I can do the acro cancel where I normally wouldn't have my air jumps, and then just do a rise cancel and I'm back on the ground again and have my jumps again. And at that point, it's kind of like a mix-up, Is he gonna use his air dashes? When's he gonna land? Is he gonna acro on landing? Is he gonna rise cancel? And it's just so much to think about, but I definitely hope that I gave you guys some insight on this and different ways that you can play around it. Arc just completely shuts this down, in my opinion. The arc guns, left arc, right arc. If you want a zone as well, I really like Homing Star because it fires so quickly. And other than that, just preventing the acro canceling in any way you can. Specifically, Aerial Beauty Needle is just so good against this, because the needle can prevent you from the acro cancel, but Aerial Beauty also has the ability to jump all the way up there and pressure you with the needle. Obviously you can jump all the way up there with like close range weapons for your shotgun, and maybe mid range like flame, etc., and kinda do the same thing, but the thing that sets Needle apart from those is the fact that you can shoot it to prevent the acro canceling, and you can do that with a couple other weapons. Not very many, but a couple other weapons. But also Needle is still good at the long range. So say like I'm all the way over here, the Aerial Beauty can just sit back in this corner and fire Needle. And yeah, it's not going to knock down, but the only part that matters is that you're clipping them. So if I acro cancel a bunch, my down meter's going down. At that point, like, Needle's still gonna down me regardless. And if I shoot a glider, I'm gonna eat a needle, and then he can just position better and just like slowly close the gap. Other than guns, you want to use bombs that have explosions that last a long time. So things with really tall hitboxes and things with tall hitboxes and long-lasting hitboxes. Now, admittedly, I'm not too great with bombs. I'm not really sure what you would use, but Gemini P and B both last a long. Gemini P has a really tall hitbox. I feel like Tomahawk is kind of a trap. Like, you think it's going to be good against the air camping, and then it just isn't. Submarine has a very long-lasting hitbox, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's just too slow, and positioning can change so easily that I don't think it's very reliable, and it's not really going to hit. Crescent P is insane. That's probably the best bomb I would recommend. Couples really well with the Aerial Beauty Needle build. Dual C's kind of eh. I don't think that one's really going to do good. Delta could probably do fine. And Titan is actually probably really good. Like, I'm not trolling. Like, I seriously think Titan's good. I have a build that I use with Titan. And now, usually, I use it with my Tankhead Eagle air camp, and that's obviously, like, it's a build that can work. It's not the best, but it can work. And to couple with that, I usually do the bear here with shotgun. I use the Titan bomb and the reflection pod. Wherever it is, I'm bad at this game. So, like Titan, people think it's a Mimi build, or a Mimi bomb, gun, and pod. But honestly, I think the Titan bomb's pretty okay, because I mean, it kind of couples with this tank head strategy, so I'll go ahead and go into it here because it'll tie in, and I'll say why I think it's good. Because not only does it couple well with the tank head, but I'm pretty sure you could probably use this against the tank head effectively. So the whole deal of the tank head is to like cut off all your opponent's options, right? So they gotta worry about the gliders coming at them, there's spiders on the screen. But now with Titan, like, it's so slow and takes a long time, especially if you wall ride it, and then a reflection. Here's some spiders, here's some gliders. Just look at how many things are going on the screen. Your opponent has so many things to worry about. They gotta worry about spiders and gliders, but now there's also reflections and a Titan pod. And one of the reasons why I think that could be good against the tank head as well is just like how long it lasts. Just like, look at that. It takes a long time to fire and get there, and then the explosion is just huge. So your opponent's air camping, and then this is just gonna like basically pressure their landing really hard. They have to think really hard about where they're gonna land. And if you have like a Titan bomb covering a huge area, then that cuts off some of their landing options. And Tankhead, while he has really great vertical mobility, his horizontal mobility isn't that great. So he's only going to have a couple places he can really go to avoid that Titan. And so you can kind of just chase him down and force him into a situation where you have a close range or a mid-range gun where you're going to be in a positional advantage. And then, once again, it comes down to the whole mind game. Is he going to spider, make me back off? Is he just going to land? Is he going to acro cancel? Is he going to rise cancel? And that depends on how you time your shot and your positioning. And you can also couple yourself with a pod to assist with that, like Wave, for example. Wave is really good. So maybe you can kind of take a step back, throw out a Wave pod, so if he lands, if he acro cancels, or if he throws out a spider, that wave will hit him. So he's avoiding the Titan, you've chased him down, he's avoiding the wave. If he does any of those options, the wave's gonna hit him. And then if he kind of like has an air dash left and he tries to strafe over the wave, that's when you can shoot and punish the air dash lag. So it just comes down to options and kind of like a mind game at that point. So that's my opinion on the Buzz Lightyear build. That's how you play it, that's what it does, that's what you can do against it, that's what it's good at doing, and that's what it's not good at doing. So, sorry if I kind of ranted there. Hopefully this video isn't too long, maybe like 20 minutes or less. And I hope you guys really learned something, because this is very prominent in the metagame, and it's something that you need to know. Like, not trying to be mean, but if you don't know this build, you're not going to do well in tournament. Just because it's so prevalent. It's such a good bot, it has its strengths and its weaknesses, and it's just very common for people to use nowadays. So just quick recap TLDR. It's really good at negating your pods, so what you want to do is not use like setup pods, but you want to use pressure pods like wave or like diving or something that like goes and pressures your opponent. And you want to use long-lasting tall hitboxes, and you want to prevent them from macro canceling, and you want to get up in their face and pressure them. Even if you can't get a shot off per se, just make sure they're not shooting their glider or their eagle or their homing star, whatever it may be. And if you can do all those things, at that point it just becomes a mind game of who can shoot when, and positional advantages and small things like that. Just a lot of little things together that you have to keep in mind that all add up. So main thing being, just pay attention to everything on the screen, and then you should be able to get good positioning from there. So once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!